Hi, I just want to add to my earlier video on how our thinking can affect our experience. If you wonder what I'm doing, I'm in hospital at the moment. I've had a minor operation on my hand after it was bitten by a dog, and I'm lying in a hospital bed waiting to be discharged. But all's gone well, and I'll be out soon. In my earlier video, I was talking about how our thinking can affect our experience, and I want to talk about that quite a bit more. My name's Lee D. Wilson. I'm an master executive mindset coach, and I help busy professionals quickly overcome their inner struggles so that they can experience greater success and enjoyment in life. One of the things that we as humans experience is what's called a negative cognitive bias. We tend to hang on to negative experiences much more than we do positive experiences. And this is a survival mechanism. It's something that's part of our DNA, and it's helped the human species survive for so long. And you see it in wild animals. You try to interact, or I've got some birds, magpies, kookaburras, other birds that I feed, and they're very shy and timid, and it takes a long while to coax them to have the courage to eat out of my hand. So all the time they're on guard. They're just looking out for danger, and that's what we as humans do at some low-lying level. Most of the times our lives are fairly safe, but at some very unconscious level we're looking out for danger, and that can give lower level senses of anxiety. So we have this negative cognitive bias, and as a result we remember bad experiences more powerfully than we do positive experiences. If you think about it, if you think back, you can probably realise and remember bad things that have happened in recent times, perhaps a bit more strongly than some of the happier, more positive events. And that's the way it's meant to be. But of course, if you've got a lifetime of memories that are negative, it's not quite as enjoyable, and it's not as fulfilling, and it's not as empowering as it would be if you had more positive memories. It's said, Dr. Rick Hansen describes it, that our negative experiences stick to us like Velcro, whereas our positive experiences stick like Teflon. So the way to counterbalance this is by using this concept of reframing, which I talked about in my previous video. I was talking about how resistance gives pain, and often a lot of the pain we experience as humans is we're resisting things that are happening to us, things that just can't be changed. And if we have an attitude of acceptance, the pain lessens, and it becomes a far less of an ordeal. Well, in the same way, we can reframe our experiences so that they are viewed in a different light. If you look at a picture, if you put a different frame around it, the experience of the picture is different. So we can do that with our own life experiences. Now, it sounds like a bit of a gimmick, and you might take a bit of convincing that it's a good idea, but if you try it out, you might be surprised.
Western Port Ward, Bed 19, Gen Med E unit. Attention Met, Western Port Ward, Bed 19, Gen Med E.
By reframing things, your interpretation and experience of the events changes. And it starts to become a bit of a game that whenever anything unpleasant or negative happens, you start to find yourself looking for the positive in it so that you can reframe it. And it starts to become a way of living. So to give you an example, to make up an example, imagine you sleep in, you're running late, you burn the toast, you stub your toes, you're trying to get dressed, you miss the train, you're late for work, you get into trouble with your boss. It'd be very easy to say, as you're doing all that, oh, I'm having a bad day. And by telling yourself you're having a bad day, you're going to get more of what you're telling yourself. In a way, we have another bias, which is called the confirmation bias. Whenever we have a theory, we look for evidence to prove that that theory is true. It's described quite quaintly by saying we've got two parts of our mind. There's the thinker and the prover. And whatever the thinker thinks, the prover tries to prove and looks for evidence to prove that it's right. So if you're saying you're having a bad day, you'll be looking all day long for evidence to prove that that theory is right. And of course that will accentuate the sort of bad day that you're having. Whereas if you can reframe it so that you're looking for the positive, you then are accentuating the positive. So you end up creating a life full of more positive experiences. So to put it simply, you could live a glass half empty life where you're all the time thinking about how things aren't going right and how bad life is and how you've only got half a glass. Or you could choose to live a half glass, half full life where you're grateful that you've got at least half a glass full and that you have what you have rather than regretting what you don't have. And of course these all add up. If you do this day in, day out, or if your experiences are interpreted in a positive light, your recollection of your life, your unconscious mind becomes filled with much more positive recollections, much more positive experiences, which help empower you, help you build resilience and help you become stronger and overall more successful. So while it might appear to be a little bit of a gimmick and you might think, well, I'm trying to fool myself, you're not really. You're looking for what the positive can be in an experience. In my book, Overcoming Financial Meltdown, Overcoming Financial Stress, I give the example of being pulled up by a policeman for speeding. You could curse him and you could say how unfortunate you are and you've got to pay this fine and how terrible it is, and you'd be feeling really bad. You could reinterpret that and say, well, he may have saved my life. He'll encourage me to drive more slowly. That could be life-saving, not only for me or for somebody else. And both interpretations are correct. In fact, as I said in my earlier video, there's no, as Shakespeare says, a thing is neither good nor bad unless thinking makes it so. So you can choose the way you choose to think about things. You have that choice, and by making a positive choice, your life experience will be very, very different and far more empowering. Anyway, I'll leave you with that thought. I'm going to be discharged pretty soon, so all going well here, and I look forward to your comments. Thank you.